Hello Gemini, welcome to your May reading. If you are new, welcome. If you are a person returning, thank you. I'm sorry guys, my concentration is off. I'm sure you can hear in the background. Wow, that's someone really enjoying some lawn care. Guys, I'm so sorry. Wow. Oh. Wow, Gemini. That is the tone of your May. Someone really revving it up. I love it. So, oh my God. So, I mentioned this in some of the other readings. May is really a month where Uranus is creating a lot of energy and a lot of different signs, and we just have to kind of hold on through this time. So hang in there if you're experiencing some of this push for change. Don't let it rattle you too much, and let's see what's going on with you. Thank you for being patient through that. This person seems to have gotten a hold of themselves. I do see this change is rattling you a bit. You may be waiting for some news, or you may have gotten it or have yet to get it maybe in the middle of May. And initially this news may not be what you want to hear, but you may be trying to make the most of it. And it may set off this series of changes into June that may kind of do one of a couple of things. It may make you tempted to go back into some old habits, but I do see here with the double reverse that you overcome that feeling. It may make you feel like your world is turning upside down, but it looks like you kind of use your logic and your spirituality to sort of overcome that feeling like this is a completely world-upsetting event. Let's look into that a little bit. Yeah, it looks like you hit the brakes on this kind of world-shattering view thinking. Toward the end of May, it looks like we have some really nice things. And this, by the way, is what I'm seeing for a lot of the signs. June tends to be the month, even though what I'm hearing from a lot of the astrologers that I like and sort of the overall universal thinking is that May will be sort of a calm month, but I don't think that. I think with everything I'm seeing that June will be the month that gives people a lot of relief from this really frenetic, chaotic energy. And I'm seeing that for you as well, Gemini, that it's through this last bit of chaos in May, because this reading is all over the place. It looks like you are really holding on. You may even feel like you're really holding on to your last bit of rope here. But then it's really at the end of May where you have some really nice energy coming in, where you realize that you have a lot of things working in your favor. You kind of get this really nice break in the space. And a change in perspective about what you are capable of doing. You kind of remember yourself and remember that you have all of these really lovely gifts. And this catastrophic, and I use that word in another reading, this catastrophic thinking about feeling pushed and pulled in all of these directions. That twin energy that you are prone to sort of lets up. So I don't see this Tower card as a tower moment where everything breaks apart. I see it as a break in your thinking. which is really nice. Yeah, even maybe some good news coming in, but this is not a hurried horse. The Knight of Cups is an offer coming in or something really nice. Let's get back over here though. On top of, you know, this distress, an overlay of this distress is, again, all of these cards are sort of cards of duality. You know, you see this harried character, but the sun is over it. We have the Knight of Pentacles, but then a heartbreak in reverse over it, the Three of Swords. It's just a lot of duality, which is in your nature, but I think with Uranus and all of the energy still, you know, I think there's still a lot of chaos over it. Again, you have the King of Swords in reverse, but then, you know, you have the Two of Pentacles. So it just feels like a lot of, and I think Capricorn had the same thing. There's a lot of roller coaster energy. You may be getting a little bit of a break toward the middle of the month with something to do with family, whether that be a visit from family or maybe, a loved one, you know, visiting, but it's still you kind of reading into it. You know, what is the visit about? What are they coming for? Why are they being nice to me? It doesn't feel like you are enjoying yourself at all. It just feels like you have other things on your mind. Let's see. You know, you may even be worried for the health of a loved one. You may have a loved one who's going through something, and you may be worried for them. And as they are on their roller coaster, you may be riding along with them. You know, all of their emotional ups and downs are your emotional ups and downs. And because this is not, you know, again, that just doesn't feel like, and again, this came up in some of the other, in one other reading, it doesn't, that Three of Swords does not look like your pain. It looks like you are worried for someone else's pain. Let's see what we have here. Maybe we can look into this a bit more. It looks like you are overseeing someone else, watching over them, almost playing detective with their business. This could be a child. You could be overseeing them maybe a bit more than you should. There's something going on behind the scenes, and you are very invested in it. That is what I feel. There may be someone with an addiction. You may be watching to see if that addiction comes out again. Or just a really bad habit. They may have a way of behaving that you find to be self-destructive. And you may be trying to warn them, or feel that you would like to warn them, but you feel that they would not be responsive to that. So it looks like there is a lot of that sort of energy happening there in May. You know, and this is a very funny time, and there's a lot of you know, attachment energy where people feel like their successes are other people. It's a reflection on them. So if someone else is not succeeding, that has to do with them. You may want to let go of some of that, Gemini, because you cannot force other people to succeed. Their failures also are not a reflection of you. So you may have to get over some of that thinking or try to move past it, because the time to do that will not be in May. A better time to have people be receptive to what you are asking or trying to suggest will probably be in June. You know, people are going through a lot energetically right now, and 2019 is just that kind of a year. Where people are just learning a lot about themselves and going through a lot of change, and this may not be the time for them to hear you. No, are we just doing 3? Just see. So if this is what's troubling you, whether it be a loved one, a business partner, a child, that may just be something that you need to, that's a lot, but all right, if that's what we're working with. So the peacock can talk about being, can talk about the ego or being showy. I think in relation to this reading, if you feel that your knowledge is the right way, this can be about ego. You have to impose your way on someone else, even if you think it's for a good reason or it's rooted in nurturing someone or protecting them. That may be a difficult thing to do right now. I love when this card shows up. I've talked about this before. You do have someone watching over you, or the other person may have someone watching over them. So just feel a bit of relief in knowing that these people don't walk alone. And so you are not necessarily their sole caretaker. We have the heart here that always talks about deep emotion. It can be romance, but it can also just be a passionate love for someone. And I think with that, that always involves wanting to make sure that that person is okay. We have the tree, and that talks about family, good health, and it also talks about the soul, you know. And I think when we're talking about the soul, you want to go inward and see where your intentions are coming from. You know, again, talking about those attachments. Where are those attachments coming from? Is it just a need to protect someone, or is it more about that ego coming out? The grave. The grave really talks about transformation. It can also talk about letting things go and moving past things. So that might be really talking about a way of thinking in this case, and letting that go, because this is also a time of change for you, Gemini, as well as, you know, a lot of the other signs. We have the cane. You know, the cane talks about mobility. You know, it can talk about taking your time. You know, it can also, you know, talk about, I think when we are trying to help someone we love and they don't want us involved, sometimes that can be hurtful. So it's sort of getting back on your feet and after we realize, because that can be almost like a hit, and you might need to get back up on your feet a little bit if you feel rejected about that. The clover is always good luck. It talks about opportunity and recovery. And next to the cane, I would say that, you know, if your ego over here is a little bit hurt from someone pushing you away, you might want to think about that. Moving on next to the lion. It can talk about being overpowering, and you may not feel that you are being overpowering at this time, but the other person may be perceiving it that way. And so maybe a gentle approach, Gemini, may be something you may want to think about. And the lady is next, and because the lady and the lion are together, I think the lady can signify a very delicate demeanor, and so you may want to think about that. Maybe just a gentle approach. Maybe it's not what you're saying, but how you're saying it. And so that may be some of what may be helpful in getting something that you're trying to say across to someone, because everybody needs to be and likes to be heard. Excuse me. And we certainly want to have you heard if your message is coming from a sincere place. Oh. Gemini, what do I do? So the situation will improve. Communicate clearly. We have this for you, Gemini, and we just talked about that. Just communicating clearly, but, you know, I think June is going to be a much better time for this. We have forgiveness, and I think, you know, keeping your mind open to why someone may not be willing to hear you right now. We have a yes card for you, so, and we also have within the next few weeks, which again, depending on when you're seeing this, but I mean, we're already into the teetering on the second week of March. So again, I think toward the end of May and around June will be a much better time for someone to hear you. So I think in the end, this leans much more toward a positive reading for you, Gemini. I think it's just a matter of tweaking a couple of things in order so that you can be heard. So press the like button or leave a message below and let me know if you wound up being heard. I'd love to hear from you, and always wishing you the best. Take care, Gemini.